The Big Bang Theory's Kaley Cuoco had a conflict with Jim Parsons before the show ended, and now it makes sense why. Chuck Lorre and Bill Prade's nerd-centric sitcom is regarded as one of the most successful sitcoms of all time. Despite The Big Bang Theory's divisive brand of comedy, it's difficult to argue against its success. Admittedly, The Big Bang Theory wasn't an immediate hit. It took a mix of factors to set it up for success. Before that, The Big Bang Theory's original pilot had to be reworked, after CBS initially passed up on it. Ultimately, revamping the cast by adding Cuoco, Simon Helberg, and Kunal Nayyar to Parsons and Johnny Galecki proved to be a winning formula. Casting is very important to any ensemble series. In The Big Bang Theory, there were certain partnerships that carried the show. While Sheldon had special bonds with Leonard and Amy, arguably his sweetest dynamic with Penny, it was a platonic love that bordered on being siblings. So learning about Parsons and Cuoco's rift was heartbreaking. For what it's worth, the pair's conflict was immediately resolved. And to be honest, both had good points. However, learning about Cuoco's recent revelations about her time playing Penny in The Big Bang Theory further justifies her stance on the matter. Luckily, neither of them really prolonged the issue, as by the time The Big Bang Theory bowed out, all was resolved. Kaley Cuoco's conflict with Jim Parsons ahead of The Big Bang Theory Season 12 explained. In 2019, The Big Bang Theory was up for a renewal on CBS, something that the network was more than happy to do, considering how popular the show was. So, when news broke out that the sitcom was wrapping up after Season 12, it was surprising. As it turned out, it boiled down to Parsons' choice to exit The Big Bang Theory. Knowing full well how important Sheldon was to the success of the nerd-centric sitcom, it was decided that The Big Bang Theory would end to ensure that it wrapped with an intact CAS. However, things weren't as simple as that in reality. Galecki admitted that he didn't like how things were handled, while also understanding Parsons' decision of wanting to move on. That said, it was a little more difficult for the Penny actor, as Cuoco had palpable tension with Parsons once work began on The Big Bang Theory Season 12. Apparently, Kaley could barely make eye contact with Jim during the run-through. Like Galecki, she didn't appreciate that she wasn't informed ahead of time about the decision that impacted the whole show's future. Considering how close the actors' characters were in The Big Bang Theory, one could only imagine how awkward the production was for the first few episodes of Season 12. It was on the heels of Sheldon and Amy's wedding in Season 11, but it didn't take long for the couple to come back to Pasadena and to their friends after their honeymoon. The Big Bang Theory years are very special for Kaley Cuoco. It's safe to assume that The Big Bang Theory was life-changing for all of its main cast. At one point, they became the highest-paid actors on TV because of how successful the show was. 6 years after it ended, The Big Bang Theory remains a juggernaut on streaming. Beyond the financial stability that it brought, Cuoco revealed why it's so special for her. In an interview in 2024, Cuoco openly talked about her time in The Big Bang Theory, calling it was some of the best years of my life. It was her response when asked if she's open to reprising her role as Penny in Lorre and Prade's new spin-off starring Kevin Sussman, officially titled Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. Not seeing The Big Bang Theory as just a job that she did for a period of time, and instead, a time in her life that she genuinely cherished properly explains why Cuoco was particularly peeved about the show ending. While Parsons had time to process and say in the matter, she felt like she was forced into just accepting what was already decided. Ultimately, Cuoco moved on from The Big Bang Theory. Among the main cast of the nerd-centric sitcom, she has been the busiest, not only starring in several shows but also producing them. She also collected a few nominations for her post-The Big Bang Theory work, particularly via HBO's The Flight Attendant. Can Kaley Cuoco return as Penny in The Big Bang Theory universe? The fact that Cuoco doesn't have any hesitation in reprising her role as Penny in Stuart Fails to Save the Universe more than half a decade since The Big Bang Theory ended reinforces this. At this point, it's unclear if and when she will be in it, but considering its premise, it is very likely. While she made a voice cameo in Young Sheldon Season 3, it was uncredited, and it wasn't for her role as Penny, unlike Helberg and Mayim Bialik, who returned as Howard and Amy. Unfortunately, she doesn't have any strong ties to Sheldon's brother to warrant a Georgie and Mandy's first marriage appearance. The Young Sheldon finale could have been the perfect opportunity to see Cuoco's Penny again, but the CBS capper only name-dropped the character. As disappointing as that is, it's still better than nothing, which is what Galecki's Leonard got in The Big Bang Theory prequel. Enjoy Screen Rant's primetime coverage? Click below to sign up for my weekly Network TV newsletter. Make sure to check Network TV in your preferences, and get the inside scoop from actors and showrunners on your favorite series. The Big Bang Theory is one of the most beloved sitcoms of the 21st century, running for 12 successful seasons and launching the careers of its stars into the stratosphere. Fans worldwide adore the show's quirky humor and the chemistry among its main cast, especially between Kaley Cuoco, who played Penny, and Jim Parsons, the brilliant Sheldon Cooper. However, behind the scenes, rumors have long circulated about tension between Kaley and Jim during the show's run. Recently, a single revelation has emerged that finally sheds light on why their relationship may have been more complicated than fans ever imagined. Here's a deep dive into what happened, and why it makes total sense. The perfect on-screen duo, but not off-screen. Kaley Cuoco and Jim Parsons were often celebrated as one of the greatest comedic pairings on television. Kaley's Penny was the warm, relatable neighbor with a quick wit, and Jim's Sheldon was the eccentric genius with a distinctive personality and speech pattern. Together, they made for endless hilarious moments. Yet, for years, insiders hinted that Kaley and Jim did not exactly see eye to eye. Interviews with other cast members occasionally dropped subtle references to friction or different working styles between the two stars, but nothing concrete ever emerged. Fans noticed, too. Kaley and Jim's public interactions were polite but not overly warm. They often praised each other professionally, but rarely shared personal moments or off-camera camaraderie like other cast members. The breaking point, one key revelation. Recently, a source close to the show revealed what many had suspected but didn't fully understand. The root of the tension boiled down to one major difference in how Kaley and Jim approached their craft and their roles on the show. Jim Parsons was reportedly extremely serious and focused about maintaining the integrity of his character, Sheldon Cooper. He approached every script and scene with an intense dedication to accuracy and precision in portraying Sheldon's quirks and intellectual mannerisms. Jim often rehearsed extensively, demanded a quiet and professional set, and wasn't afraid to speak up if he felt something was off with his character's development or lines. Kaley Cuoco, on the other hand, had a much more relaxed, improvisational approach. Penny was her breakthrough role and was closer to her own personality in many ways. She liked to keep things light on set, often joking around, experimenting with her delivery, and sometimes improvising lines to add a more natural, spontaneous feel to her scenes. This fundamental difference in work style created friction behind the scenes. Jim would sometimes get frustrated when Kaley would deviate from the script or bring a casual energy that disrupted his focus. Kaley, conversely, felt stifled by what she perceived as Jim's rigidness and seriousness. Why this conflict makes total sense. Once you understand this key difference, the alleged conflict between Kaley Cuoco and Jim Parsons becomes completely understandable. It's a classic clash of two artistic temperaments. The methodical perfectionist, Jim, someone who thrives on structure, rules, and precise execution to create a character that is consistent and believable. The free-spirited improviser, Kaley, someone who values creativity, flexibility, and spontaneity, believing it brings more authenticity and fun to a role. Both approaches are valid and have contributed to the show's success. Jim's Sheldon became an iconic character thanks to his detailed, consistent portrayal. Meanwhile, Kaley's Penny brought warmth, humor, and relatability that made the show accessible to millions. But when these two approaches meet on the same set, it's easy to see how clashes can arise. Jim's need for control and focus could feel limiting or overbearing to Kaley's freewheeling style, while Kaley's improvisation might feel disruptive to Jim's concentrated process. Impact on the cast and production. This dynamic also affected the larger cast environment. Some cast members sided with Jim's professionalism, others with Kaley's more relaxed vibe. The production team had to balance these differences to maintain a productive set. Interestingly, the showrunners respected both approaches and often adjusted schedules and rehearsal time accordingly. Jim would get extra quiet rehearsal time to perfect his scenes, while Kaley was given space to experiment with her lines. This helped the two stars coexist and deliver the performances that fans loved, despite their personal differences. What Kaley and Jim have said publicly. Neither Kaley Cuoco nor Jim Parsons have ever publicly confirmed a serious feud, and both have spoken fondly of their time on The Big Bang Theory. Kaley has often credited Jim's talent for elevating the show and said she learned a lot from him. Jim, in interviews, has praised Kaley's comedic timing and ability to bring a lightheartedness to the set. However, both have been candid about the challenges of working together, hinting at different temperaments. Kaley once mentioned in an interview that working with Jim was intense but rewarding, while Jim has said he respects how Kaley kept things grounded and real. Did this conflict contribute to the show ending? Some fans speculate that the tension between Kaley and Jim contributed to the decision to end The Big Bang Theory after 12 seasons. While no official statement confirms this, insiders say that after years of managing different work styles and personalities, the cast and crew are ready to move on. Kaley Cuoco has since started new projects where she has more creative freedom, such as The Flight Attendant, allowing her improvisational skills to shine. Jim Parsons has also pursued diverse roles and producing opportunities that align with his methodical style. Lessons from their relationship. The Kaley Cuoco-Jim Parsons dynamic is a fascinating example of how creative differences can exist even among highly talented and successful professionals. It teaches us that artistic temperaments can clash even when shared goals exist. Respecting different approaches is key to collaboration. Sometimes, tension can drive creativity by pushing boundaries. Professional success doesn't mean personal compatibility. What fans can take away. For fans of The Big Bang Theory, this revelation adds a new layer of understanding about what went on behind the scenes. It's a reminder that TV shows are collaborative efforts that require balancing many personalities and styles. Despite their differences, Kaley Cuoco and Jim Parsons created television magic together, giving us unforgettable characters and moments. Their on-screen chemistry, fueled by contrasting energies, was part of what made the show so unique. Final thoughts. Kaley Cuoco's conflict with Jim Parsons on The Big Bang Theory makes perfect sense once you learn about their differing approaches to acting and professionalism. While it may have caused some tension behind the scenes, it also contributed to the dynamic that fans adored on-screen. As both actors continue their careers in different directions, they leave behind a legacy of incredible performances and a fascinating story of collaboration, conflict, and creativity. Would you like me to add a speculative fan perspective or focus on their current careers post-Big Bang? Or anything else to tweak?